Did you know that unhealthy turfgrass and poor maintenance practices can be bad for the environment? Leaves, grass, garbage, spilled or unused fertilizer and pesticides can be washed off of yards and streets and into the storm drain during a rainstorm. Water that enters the storm drain from the street does not go to a water treatment plant. It flows directly into the river, carrying debris and pollutants with it. Maintenance workers are important because they have the power to protect the environment. Keeping turfgrass healthy with proper maintenance practices helps to protect clean water by preventing pollution from reaching the storm drains. This video will show you turfgrass maintenance best practices which protect water and keep it clean by preventing pollutants from reaching our rivers, lakes, and streams. In this video, you will learn mowing practices that help protect our waters by promoting healthy turfgrass and keeping debris out of storm drains and water sources. Fertilizing practices that strengthen turfgrass while minimizing harm to our lakes and rivers. Weed control practices that limit negative impact on our waterways. If you follow these practices, you will be taking care of turfgrass in a way that also protects our waters. Proper mowing practices help keep turfgrass healthy and prevent runoff into the storm drains. In this section you will learn how and why to use mowing practices that strengthen turfgrass. You will learn how and why to prevent debris from entering the storm drains. Let's look at these practices in detail. The first category of mowing best practices is mow to promote healthy turfgrass. Dense and healthy turfgrass helps to prevent erosion and runoff from entering storm drains and eventually our rivers, lakes, and streams. It is also more resistant to weeds and other pests. Here are some mowing practices that promote healthy turfgrass. Mow high. Make sure the mower height is set at 3 inches or more. Set so the turfgrass is not cut below a 3-inch height.
All right, Brandon, today we're going to be cutting that 3 1/4 inch. So you just pull that towards you and then put it at your desired setting.
Also, make sure to check air pressure in tires because this can also influence mower height. Mowing high leaves plenty of the leaf to absorb sunlight and promote growth. Make sure the mower blade is sharp and on correctly.
Just take a simple look at the blades. You can give them a little spin just to see if they're all right.
Dull blades damage the grass plant's leaves and weaken the plant, making it more prone to disease.
It's got a rough edge all the way along the edge on both sides. There's a chip out of it right there.
Damaged grass tips often turn yellow or give the lawn a grayish or whitish appearance.
And then when you do get done finish sharpening it, you want to put it on your balancer to make sure that it's properly balanced.
An upside down or unbalanced blade can cut the grass too short. It is always wise to stop and take a look at what you have mowed before you mow too much. Lower discharge flap on mower and discharge clippings toward turf. Grass clippings are good for turf grass. They provide the same nutrition as a round of fertilizer. Change your mowing pattern frequently and avoid sharp pivot turns. This technique helps keep turfgrass strong by preventing wear and rutting on the turf. Stay out of the buffer. If you are mowing near a water body, you may encounter an area of tall grasses or a natural-looking area. These areas are called buffers, and their job is to protect the water body from pollutants traveling across the land toward the water. These areas may look messy to you, but do not mow or weed whip in these areas. The second category of mowing best practices is keep debris out of storm drains. Loose turfgrass pollutes the river when it gets into the storm drain because turfgrass clippings act like fertilizer and promote algae growth, making waterways green and scummy. Here are some mowing practices that will help keep debris out of our rivers, lakes, and streams. Direct clippings away from hard surfaces. If clippings are left on hard surfaces like sidewalks, streets, and parking lots, rain will wash them into the storm drain, and they will flow into our water bodies.
You see here, Brandon, when you're mowing that direction, how you put all this grass on the pathway? We want to make sure we get that cleaned up now before we move on to another area.
Clean up clippings that land on hard surfaces. Sweep or blow them back onto the turf, compost, or bag them up. Never discharge grass clippings directly into a water body. This is just like adding fertilizer to the water. Pick up trash before you mow it. Shredded garbage is much harder to pick up, and it will wash off the turf grass into the storm drain the next time it rains. Protect storm drains when cleaning equipment.
Now at the end of the day when we're done mowing, we just want to blow the machine off, get all the grass clippings off, but we don't want the grass clippings in the catch basin over there, so we'll just blow them off here in the grass.
Do not let any debris from cleaning your equipment enter the storm drain. After your equipment is clean, clean up your work area. Watch out for irrigation systems. Broken and improperly set irrigation heads can result in discharging water to hard surfaces, wasting water, and flushing pollutants into the storm drain. Report or fix any irrigation heads discharging to hard surfaces. When mowing, keep your eyes open for irrigation heads. If they are not retracted, stop the mower and gently step on them to see if they will retract. If they do not, flag the location, avoid mowing them, and report it to your supervisor. When you follow these mowing practices, you will keep turfgrass healthy and prevent debris from entering storm drains, protecting our rivers, lakes, and streams. Good fertilizing practices help keep turfgrass strong and healthy. The improper use of fertilizer can lead to fertilizer getting into the storm drain and eventually to our rivers, lakes, and streams. As a seasonal worker, your supervisor will likely instruct you how to use fertilizer. However, there are some basic practices that remain true to all turfgrass fertilizing efforts in Minnesota. In this section you will learn how to choose the right type and amount of fertilizer, how to prevent fertilizer from entering the storm drains. Let's look at these practices in detail. The first category of fertilizing best practices is use the right type and amount of fertilizer. Any fertilizer not used by the turfgrass may run off into the storm drain or infiltrate the soil, ending up in our groundwater. Use zero phosphorus fertilizer. In Minnesota, our state law requires us to use a zero phosphorus fertilizer on turfgrass, except when new turf is being established or when a soil test shows that the turf needs phosphorus. The middle number on the fertilizer bag indicating phosphorus must be 0. The other main components of fertilizer are nitrogen and potassium. Nitrogen makes turfgrass turn a rich, deep green. Nitrogen also increases the growth of plants and algae in our waterways, which turns them green and scummy.
Okay guys, today we're going to be fertilizing this small boulevard area. We're going to be using a fertilizer with no phosphorus in it because this is established turf.
If the bag does not have 0 as the middle number, do not apply it without first checking with your supervisor. Use the right amount of fertilizer. Ask your supervisor for the proper fertilizer setting for your spreader.
We calibrated this during our off season, so this is set up to put the proper amount of fertilizer down for the type of turf we're fertilizing.
He or she has calculated the rate fertilizer should be spread. If you are given no instructions, Use the lowest setting on the spreader that still allows fertilizer to flow through. Apply fertilizer in an overlapping pattern. When applying fertilizer, you will want to make sure you get complete and even coverage. The easiest way to do this is to spread the fertilizer back to the wheel tracks of your last pass. This creates a light overlap of fertilizer and no bare spots. Spread fertilizer in an even pattern. The second category of fertilizer best practices is prevent fertilizer from entering the storm drains.
You don't want to spread your fertilizer around that storm drain. That storm drain heads to Crystal Lake, so we want to make sure we stay clear of that.
Fertilizer left on hard surfaces will wash off into the storm drain and into our rivers, lakes, and streams. Excess fertilizer pollutes water because fertilizer promotes algae growth, making waterways green and scummy. Here are some practices that will help keep fertilizer out of our rivers, lakes, and streams. Fill fertilizer spreaders over a hard surface where you can clean it up if it spills. If you spill on the turf, you can kill the grass. If fertilizer spills, sweep it up and put it back in the spreader. Use an edge guard. When spreading next to a hard surface, put down your edge guard to keep fertilizer from spraying onto sidewalks, streets, and other hard surfaces. If you don't have an edge guard, stay away from the edge so you don't spread fertilizer onto hard surfaces. Clean up any fertilizer that lands on hard surfaces. No matter how careful you are, fertilizer will land on hard surfaces. Sweep or blow small amounts back onto the turf. Return larger amounts to the fertilizer bag. By following these fertilizing practices, you will strengthen turfgrass and prevent fertilizer from entering the storm drains, helping to protect our rivers, lakes, and streams. Pesticides are powerful chemicals, and when used improperly, they can harm people, animals, plants, and water bodies. Good weed control practices help keep turfgrass strong and healthy. The improper use of pesticide can lead to pesticide getting into the storm drain and eventually to our rivers, lakes, and streams. In this section you will learn how to take precautions before applying pesticides, how to apply pesticides responsibly. Let's look at these practices in detail. The first category of weed control best practices is take precautions before applying pesticides. Be prepared before you start applying pesticide so that you can protect yourself, others, and our water bodies. Find out if you need a pesticide license. Category E turf and ornamental pesticide license may be required for the work that you do.
In Minnesota, if you're spraying weeds, you may or may not need to be licensed. If you're spraying weeds on your own property, for example, you work at the University of Minnesota and you spray at the University of Minnesota, you don't need to be licensed. If you work for Joe's Lawn Care and you go spray at the University of Minnesota, you do need to be licensed. You would need the Category E turf and ornamental license.
Licensing is available through the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. The more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to do good work.
Looks great, thank you.
Read and follow pesticide label. As a person applying pesticides, it is required by law that you read the label and follow the directions. You are required to know the label information even if someone fills up your backpack sprayer and hands it to you to spray weeds. Protect yourself when handling pesticides. Keep pesticides off your skin and do not breathe the spray. The pesticide label will list the protective clothing and gear recommended. Different chemicals require different precautions. At a minimum, you should wear long pants, long sleeves, boots, and waterproof gloves. Wash your hands frequently, including before you go to the bathroom. The second category of weed control best practices is apply pesticides responsibly. Use pesticides in a way that maximizes their effectiveness while limiting the impact they have on people, wildlife, and water bodies. Apply the least amount of pesticides possible. Spot spraying weeds minimizes the amount of pesticide you need. You apply pesticide directly to the weeds you want to control. Spray low, as close to the plant as possible.
So this spray can also harm the trees, so be careful not to raise your sprayer up. Keep your nozzle down and right on target.
This reduces other plants' exposure to the pesticide and reduces your chance of breathing it in. Do not spray on extremely hot and dry days. At high temperatures, pesticide may enter the air and become potentially harmful to humans and trees in the immediate vicinity. Do not spray on a windy day. Wind can carry pesticides away from your intended target and harm people, animals, and other plants such as trees and flowers. Do not spray on a rainy day, or if rain is expected very soon. The rain will wash the pesticide into the storm drains, and it won't be effective on the turf. Watch out for water bodies and water pathways such as ditches and storm drains. Take extra precaution around these areas to keep chemicals and debris from reaching the storm drains. When you follow these weed control practices, you will protect yourself and others and minimize the negative impact of pesticide, protecting our rivers, lakes, and streams. Maintenance workers have the power to protect the environment. Following the practices in this video will help ensure that you are keeping turfgrass healthy and protecting our rivers, lakes, and streams. If you'd like to watch this video again or view the other lawn care videos, visit mwmo.org.